emotional restraint and compassionate action. At the heart of this balance lies the ability to exercise emotional restraint paired with compassionate action. It's a simple concept, yet few master it. When anger rises, to pause. When insulted, to remain unbothered. When challenged, to respond, not react. When witnessing someone in pain, to offer strength, not pity. When faced with betrayal, to choose dignity over vengeance. These moments define a man's character. They are the quiet battlegrounds where the average are separated from the extraordinary. The man who has control over his impulses and chooses grace over retaliation demonstrates not weakness, but immense power. Why most people fail to master this move? Why is it so rare? Because it demands more of you. It's easy to lash out when angered. It's effortless to detach and become indifferent to avoid vulnerability. It's convenient to seek dominance rather than command respect through virtue. Mastery of this balance requires a confrontation with your own ego, insecurities, and wounds. It forces you to see the parts of yourself that crave approval, that fear rejection, that hunger for control. And then, it asks you to silence them. This is why few men achieve it, because it's far easier to act tough than to be tough. It's far simpler to display false bravado than to embody true resilience. The subtle balance in relationships. In romantic relationships, this balance is profoundly transformative. A man who possesses both strength and care offers a safe, magnetic presence. He knows how to lead without domination, protect without possessiveness, and love without losing himself. When a woman tests his patience, he doesn't crumble. When she pulls away, he doesn't chase. When she's vulnerable, he holds space. When she disrespects his boundaries, he addresses it firmly but calmly. To care without attachment. To show strength without aggression. To be kind without becoming a doormat. To be firm without being cruel. This is the art most men and women overlook, but it is what separates the remarkable from the average. The power of quiet mastery. The man who understands the balance between strength and care doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't chase validation, nor does he wield his power recklessly. Instead, he moves through life with a quiet confidence, knowing when to step forward and when to step back, when to speak and when to listen, when to hold firm and when to yield. There's a saying, a lion doesn't need to announce that he's a lion. This kind of strength isn't about dominance, it's about presence. A presence so deeply rooted in self-awareness and wisdom that it naturally commands respect, not through intimidation but through authenticity. People sense it. They're drawn to it. It's unshakable, and that is precisely why it holds such power. The simple, powerful move, emotional restraint and compassionate action. At the heart of this balance lies the ability to exercise emotional restraint paired with compassionate action. It's a simple concept, yet few master it. When anger rises, to pause. When insulted, to remain unbothered. When challenged, to respond, not react. When witnessing someone in pain, to offer strength, not pity. When faced with betrayal, to choose dignity over vengeance. These moments define a man's character. They are the quiet battlegrounds where the average are separated from the extraordinary. The man who has control over his impulses and chooses grace over retaliation demonstrates not weakness, but immense power. Why most people fail to master this move? Why is it so rare? Because it demands more of you. It's easy to lash out when angered. It's effortless to detach and become indifferent to avoid vulnerability. It's convenient to seek dominance rather than command respect through virtue. Mastery of this balance requires a confrontation with your own ego, insecurities, and wounds. It forces you to see the parts of yourself that crave approval, that fear rejection, that hunger for control. And then, it asks you to silence them. This is why few men achieve it, because it's far easier to act tough than to be tough. It's far simpler to display false bravado than to embody true resilience. The subtle balance in relationships. In romantic relationships, this balance is profoundly transformative. A man who possesses both strength and care offers a safe, magnetic presence. He knows how to lead without domination, protect without possessiveness, and love without losing himself. When a woman tests his patience, he doesn't crumble. When she pulls away, he doesn't chase. When she's vulnerable, he holds space. When she disrespects his boundaries, he addresses it firmly but calmly. He isn't swayed by emotional storms because he has weathered his own. He understands that his value isn't determined by external validation, but by his own standards and the life he builds for himself. And women feel this. They intuitively recognize a man who moves from a place of centered strength and tender care. It creates a dynamic where trust, attraction, and respect thrive. The subtle balance in leadership. In leadership, whether in business, community, or family, this balance is the difference between a tyrant and a revered leader. A leader with strength but no care becomes a despot, feared, but unloved. A leader with care but no strength is seen as weak, liked, but disrespected. The great leaders of history, the ones remembered and revered, mastered both. They commanded armies but wept for their fallen. They made hard, unpopular decisions but did so with a heart for those they led. They held others to high standards while never exempting themselves. A move in leadership means you hold people accountable while believing in their potential. You enforce discipline while showing empathy. You carry the burden of responsibility without seeking pity. The inner work required. To arrive at this place of mastery demands inner work. It isn't inherited. It's cultivated through discipline, reflection, and relentless self-honesty. You must confront your own wounds, the times you reacted impulsively, sought validation, or crumbled under pressure. You must forgive yourself for past mistakes while refusing to. You must develop the discipline to pause when every fiber of you wants to retaliate. You must learn to express love, concern, and protection without falling into control or obsession. Meditation, journaling, physical discipline, Stoic philosophy, mentorship, these are tools the wise use to forge this balance. Why it sets you apart? Because the modern world is full of people swaying between extremes. The emotionally volatile and the emotionally numb. The weak pretending to be strong and the caring who lack backbone. A man who holds both strength and care confounds people. He intimidates without aggression, inspires without preaching, attracts without chasing. In business, people trust him. In relationships, they feel safe with him. In conflict, others hesitate before confronting him. In crisis, he's the one people look to. He stands apart not because he says he's different, but because he is. The ancient wisdom behind the balance. This principle isn't new. Ancient warrior codes, spiritual traditions, and philosophical schools all emphasized this duality. The samurai were fierce warriors bound by Bushido, a code of honor that demanded both ruthlessness in battle and poetry in peace. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius ruled empires but wept for humanity. Indigenous leaders spoke with the wisdom of warriors and the tenderness of fathers. They understood that the man who masters himself holds more power than armies. That true influence isn't seized, it's cultivated. How to begin mastering this move? Pause before you react, create a gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lies your power. Practice restraint, not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every challenge demands a response. Learn the art of selective engagement. Cultivate compassion, see the humanity in others, even your enemies. Understand their wounds, even as you hold them accountable. Build physical and mental discipline, a strong body supports a strong mind. Train both. Set clear boundaries, care without boundaries is weakness. Strength without care is tyranny. Know where you stand. Seek mentorship and reflection, learn from those ahead of you. Reflect on your missteps without shame. Lead yourself first, before you can lead others, command your own emotions, habits, and impulses. The legacy you leave. The man who masters this balance leaves a legacy not measured by possessions but by the lives he touched and the standards he set. Sons learn how to be men from watching him. Women feel safe in his presence, not because he's soft, but because he's unshakable. Communities remember him not for what he took, but for what he gave. He becomes a man of legend, not because he sought it, but because he embodied what so few dare to pursue. Conclusion: a call to the few. Most won't choose this path. It demands too much. It requires sacrifice, discipline, and relentless self-examination. It asks you to be both sword and shield, fire and water, leader and servant. But for those who dare, for the few who commit, the rewards are immeasurable. You move through life with a rare freedom. You attract the best in people. You build a life not of noise, but of substance. Mastering this simple, powerful move sets you apart because while anyone can act strong or caring, few can truly be both. And in mastering it, you don't just set yourself apart, you redefine what it means to be a man. 99% of men don't do this, but women love it. It might sound extreme, but let me ask you this: how many times have you seen a guy who seems to have it all, yet still struggles to create deep, meaningful connections with women? It's not about looks, money, or even confidence. The truth is, most men completely overlook certain small yet powerful gestures that can make them irresistible. And today, I'm about to reveal 7 hidden secrets that women crave but rarely admit. These aren't the same old dating tips you've heard 100 times. These are subtle psychological triggers backed by both science and ancient Stoic wisdom, triggers that can transform the way women perceive you, making you unforgettable without trying too hard. Imagine this: what if you could tap into subconscious desires that most women don't even realize they have? What if you could effortlessly stand out from 99% of men? Not by chasing, not by proving yourself, but by understanding what truly makes a woman feel seen, desired, and emotionally connected. And here's the thing: if you don't know these secrets, you're at a serious disadvantage. You could be missing out on building the kind of attraction that keeps her thinking about you long after you've left the room. That's why you need to stick around until the end of this video, because the final secret is the most powerful one. And once you understand it, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor: if you're serious about mastering these game-changing techniques, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the life-changing insights coming your way. Let's get started. Secret 1: the power of touch before intimacy. Picture this: you're on a date. The conversation is flowing, she's laughing, and everything seems to be going well, but something feels off. You can sense that the connection isn't quite there. She's engaged, but not fully drawn in. You drop her off, send a follow-up text, and then, silence. No response. What happened? Most men focus only on words when trying to build attraction. They think a great conversation is enough. But for women, connection isn't just verbal, it's physical and emotional. And one incredibly underrated way to build that connection is through touch. Not in a pushy, aggressive way. Not in a way that makes her uncomfortable. But in a subtle, intentional, deeply meaningful way. One of the most overlooked gestures women actually crave is a simple, gentle massage before intimacy. Sounds simple, right? But here's why it's powerful. For women, emotional connection is just as important, if not more, than physical attraction. A well-placed, non-sexual touch communicates more than words ever could. It says, "I see you. I care about you. I want you to feel safe and comfortable with me." It's not about being a massage therapist or trying to impress her. It's about presence. Being in the moment. Making her feel relaxed, understood, and desired, not just physically, but emotionally. The key is it's not just about the touch itself. It's about the intention behind it. If you're just going through the motions, it won't work. But if you're fully present, engaged, and paying attention to how she responds, she will feel it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't overthink it. Don't make it weird. Just be in the moment and let your actions speak for themselves." The harsh truth is, most men never take the time to understand this concept. That's why they remain part of the 99% who struggle with emotional intimacy. But the men who do, they create deep, lasting connections that women don't forget. In a world where most guys rely on instant gratification and surface-level interactions, this kind of thoughtful approach is rare. But when you master it, you immediately step into the top 1%. The men who truly understand what women desire on a deeper level. Secret 2, the art of flirting with confidence and respect. Most men completely misunderstand flirting. They either overdo it, coming off as pushy and desperate, or hold back too much out of fear of making a mistake. But here's the truth, women love flirting, but only when it's done with confidence, subtlety, and respect. A man who knows how to flirt effortlessly stands out because he creates an energy that feels exciting without pressure. Flirting isn't about impressing her with forced jokes or exaggerated compliments. It's about keeping things playful, light, and engaging. Think of it like a dance, you lead, she follows. But neither of you should feel forced into the movement. The best way to do this is through teasing in a fun, light-hearted way. For example, if she says she loves a certain type of food, you might respond with, "Really? That's the best you've got? Clearly, you've never had my cooking." It's a subtle challenge that keeps the conversation interesting while creating a playful vibe. More importantly, good flirting isn't about seeking approval. The moment you try too hard to impress, you lose your edge. Women are naturally drawn to men who are comfortable in their own skin, who can joke around without needing validation. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. A high-value man doesn't flirt to win a woman over. He flirts because he genuinely enjoys the interaction itself. He remains emotionally grounded, never desperate for a response. Beyond words, eye contact and body language are key. A confident smirk, a slow nod, or a well-timed pause speaks louder than any pickup line. Attraction isn't built through words alone. It's built through presence, energy, and confidence. When you flirt with the right mindset, women feel it instantly. So ask yourself, are you flirting to impress, or are you flirting because you enjoy the moment? Master this, and you'll watch how attraction starts shifting in your favor. Secret 3, why touching her hair at the right moment creates connection. Most men completely overlook this, but women love it when a man knows how to touch their hair, done at the right moment, of course. It's one of those small, seemingly insignificant gestures that can create an instant emotional connection. Done wrong, though, it can feel awkward, forced, or even intrusive. The key is understanding why this works. The scalp is one of the most sensitive areas of the body, filled with nerve endings that trigger deep emotional responses. A well-placed, gentle touch on her hair sends subtle, powerful signals of intimacy, trust, and attraction. It's not just about the physical sensation, it's about the unspoken message it conveys. I see you. I'm present with you. I'm tuned into your energy. Most men either rush this or do it mechanically without real connection. But this isn't about absent-mindedly playing with her hair. It's about creating a moment of closeness. Picture this, you're sitting with her, engaged in conversation. And at just the right moment, you gently brush a strand of hair away. Single action, done with intention and confidence, can say more than words ever could. Timing is everything. This isn't something you do on a first encounter or before you've built emotional connection. It works best when she already feels comfortable with you, when there's chemistry and warmth in the air. If she leans in slightly, if she smiles in a way that invites closeness, that's when you know the moment is right. The worst thing you can do is force it when she isn't ready. Which is why presence and awareness are crucial. From a Stoic perspective, this ties back to emotional intelligence and restraint. Stoicism teaches us to read situations without acting on impulse, to remain in control rather than being controlled by desire. So the next time you're with a woman and the moment feels right, don't underestimate the power of a simple touch on her hair. Done with confidence and intention, it's one of those rare, subtle gestures that leave a lasting impression. Secret 4, in public. This might seem like a small, insignificant gesture, but in reality, it speaks volumes. A simple, confident touch on a woman's lower back as you guide her through a crowd or while walking together communicates something profoundly attractive: leadership, confidence, and protection. Most men either overlook it or hesitate, unsure whether they should do it at all. But women don't need grand displays of